Hey guys, it's Dragon Ball for Life here. Today I want to do something a little different. I want to talk about what I would have done if I had the creative rights of Dragon Ball. Now I know I complain quite a bit sometimes about Dragon Ball and how, the story has progressed and what's gone through. I do love the story and the show and series as a whole, but I do think there's a lot of problems with it. And it's not just me who says this, there's a lot of fans who believe this. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff that they could have done better or changed or just completely entirely cut out and done something else different. Now in this video, the whole point of it is for me to explain what I would have done if I had the creative rights of Dragon Ball. Though I will say this, there are some instances where there were some stories or some scenario that I didn't like, but I don't know what I would do to change it or replace it. I just feel like I didn't like it and I want to explain why I don't like them. But this whole video, the whole point of it is going to be just me explaining or just talking about some stuff that I would change here and there about Dragon Ball as a whole, as the franchise. And this will be part one. I think that I'll make a couple more parts because there's a lot of stuff in Dragon Ball that I would have possibly have changed to make it better, especially nowadays. I think nowadays Dragon Ball has gotten to a point where it's, the writing has fallen down quite a bit. And I think there's a lot of things they need to fix for these problems to go away. Now, let's say if I was Toriyama, what would I do with, Dragon Ball? What stuff would I change? Well, first, I would change, in no particular order, but first thing I'll change is Goku and Krillin's training when we first saw it with Master Roshi. My problem with that training, I've always had a problem with it because, Goku and Krillin and the Dragon Ball characters are supposed to be very powerful characters. They're supposed to have insane feats and stuff like that. And especially in anime, they're some of the most powerful characters in anime. And you would assume that since they're this powerful and they can do all these crazy stuff and they get these crazy amount of power boosts and stuff, that their training would be intense, extreme, crazy. But when you watch the beginning of Dragon Ball and Master Roshi's training Krillin and Goku, it isn't as intense as I would have hoped. Because when I watched it, when I first watched it, I was surprised that this was considered tense training. Because I guess you can say them having the turtle shells on their back that had additional weight would be extreme or more extreme, but that's more for a regular human. These guys are superpowered beings and they're trying to train to get even more, ridiculously powerful. So them carrying 20 to 44 pound, I think it was it said 20 kilograms and then 40 kilograms. So 40 to 80 pounds. Yeah, that might sound like a lot for a little kid to carry, but these guys are superpowered beings. So the fact that they made it sound like 40 pounds to 80 pounds is a lot of weight to carry, it's not compared to them. Like a fully grown adult can take that, and we're not anywhere near as powerful as Goku and Krillin in the beginning of Dragon Ball. So I always felt like that wasn't that impressive. And then the whole milk running stuff, it was just them running and skipping, hopping in zigzag patterns up a mountain and stuff. And then they did worked in a plowing field and did some construction. And some stuff they did was kind of crazy, them having to outrace a shark in a lake and have to outrun a T-Rex and stuff. But I just feel like the training itself wasn't as intense as it should have been. If you watch other animes and you see other characters, they go through far more intense training and they're nowhere near as powerful. Like if you go to Demon Slayer, the training that Tanjiro had to go through in Demon Slayer was far more severe than anything that Goku and Krillin did. Goku and Krillin's one was a walk in the park compared to Naruto, all these other characters in these other animes where they weren't even remotely as powerful, but their training was more severe and they didn't gain as much as a power boost as Goku and Krillin. Because if you look at it, Goku and Krillin's speeds were still human levels of speed. Krillin had Olympic level speed and Goku had peak human levels of speed. But they were able to surpass that to such an extent where they were able to dodge bullets. Krillin and Master Roshi were able to fight so fast that they were able to do multiple different things in 0.2 seconds. And also move so fast that the humans couldn't see them, and Goku was able to move so fast that he can create after images. At least they would be, 1 to 2 times the speed of sound. So they went from, peak human levels of speed to barely peak human levels of speed to faster than the speed of sound by a couple of times. That seems like a crazy jump. So for it to be believable for me, the training had to be more intense. And like I said, when I see other animes in the training they go through, I'm like, oh crap, they went through this. They had to destroy a giant boulder. They had to fight against this or do that. But when you look at Dragon Ball, it's far, it's far less intense, and it's not very believable for me personally that they would be able to do the getting that much more power from something that simple. Personally, if it was me, I would have made their training far more intense. I would have had them like having to lift up giant boulders, destroy giant rocks, run on water. Basically just having them spar against each other, do more crazier stuff. I felt like they made it just, it would be hard for regular humans, but these guys are superpowered beings. They should not be doing things that are hard for people, regular people, and making it sound like it's a challenge to them. So I didn't like that. Also, after the whole training scenario, when they finished it, and they went to Master Roshi to tell him like, "Hey, look, are you gonna train us now?" And they proved their point by like pushing the rock. And Master Roshi basically showed that, oh, I don't have anything to train you. You guys already know enough, and all I could do is get you stronger. So it wasn't even training. It wasn't even like martial arts training. It was just like physical training, like strength training that he was giving them, which is important in a fight. Even as professional fighters, that's important. But I would have preferred him teaching them some techniques. The fact that he said they already know everything is like, are you kidding me? Goku and Krillin are like 12 at this point. Goku, like I think Krillin's 13, but Goku was 12 at this point. He trained a bit under his grandpa. We didn't even see that training. We don't know how much he trained him. And his grandpa died. Once again, they didn't tell us when he died, but Goku probably was there for years without his grandpa. So he had years of not being taught by anybody. And Krillin, he was kind of low level in a monastery with monks, and though the monks Shaolin monks might have like some good fighting or training, they wouldn't have the best, and they wouldn't have trained him as great because they kind of did treat him like a joke. So the fact that Master Roshi said, "You guys know enough martial arts," it kind of disappointed me because when I first watched it, I was like, "Oh, he's gonna teach them some cool tricks." He didn't teach them anything, and I think somebody said that they couldn't do that because on Japanese televisions they said you can't show martial arts moves to kids so they won't hurt do them and hurt somebody. But it's like there was tons of animes back then that were even more brutal and violent, and they didn't have a problem. So I don't think that's the case. I just didn't like it. I felt like it was lazy. Toriyama, I felt like didn't put any effort into it. And me personally, I would have had Master Roshi teach them martial arts. I would have had him show them a couple of physical moves, like some attacks and maybe some strategies. It doesn't even have to be physical attacks. It can be sometimes the way of thinking in a fight. So he could have taught them through strategies, how to analyze their opponents. I think the best thing he could have done was basically they could have had like an introduction to an introduction to how ki works. We only started getting explanations about ki once when we got to the Buu saga and we had Gohan teaching Videl, which is like you literally took that long all the way towards the end of the franchise at that point just to explain something like this that should have been explained in the beginning. I felt like if it was me, I would have been, Master Roshi would have trained them how to fight, throw some strikes, do some techniques, have some strategic way of thinking, and then also teach them about ki and be like, hey, look, there's a natural force out there in everybody that's called ki. This energy it transcends the physical aspects. It's a spiritual type of thing. You have to be connected to mind, body, and spirit. You have to train through meditation and physical stuff, and you can draw this power out to create different techniques. And this would have been perfect because remember before this, Goku already did the Kamehameha, so he didn't understand how ki worked, but his body could physically do it. So it would have been more interesting if Master Roshi was teaching them how to master the ki and control it and do this. They would increase their power. By this I felt like if this happened and we had the tournament and Goku was fighting against him and he fired the Kamehameha, it would have made more sense. Because the first time he did it was in imperfected form, and it was because he didn't know about ki. And then this one, it could have been like, oh, Master Roshi taught him about ki and explained it to him, so Goku had a better understanding and knew how to exploit it. And when he exploited it, he knew how to improve on his Kamehameha and perfect it. And that could have been a great lead up to it. It would have been very intelligent. And then Master Roshi would be like, oh, so you used the knowledge that I gave you and applied it to your training to, perfect this my technique. So that would have been more, That would have been more thought-provoking, more like creative than just simply he randomly now knows how to fully do a Kamehameha. And like I said, it would have been more, impressive. So I think that's what I would have done. Change the training firsthand. That's what one of the first things I would do. The second thing I would have changed would have been the Bardock, father of Goku Bardock, special. A lot of people talk about the originals, saying the reason Toriyama created Dragon Ball Minus is because the original was created by somebody else, and Dragon Ball Minus was basically Toriyama putting his hand into it. Personally, if it was me, all I would have done is, instead of recreating that, which we don't need because we already had a backstory and a perfect one, especially since he liked it, I liked it too. So what I would have done is, I would have just came out and said, hey, look, this might not have been written by me, but this is officially the backstory of the Saiyans and Goku's father, and this is going to be canon to the story. And I know Toriyama's never said canon, but this is through my perspective. And in my perspective, I would have basically came out and said, hey, even if this work isn't a part of me, I didn't create it originally, if these stuff makes sense and I enjoy it, I will just make it legit from the story. And I think this could have been easily fixed. So people saying that, oh, he needed Dragon Ball Minus to write his own way, I don't agree with that. He could have simply came out and said, hey, this is great. This is a great story. Even though I didn't write it, I consider it officially part of the Dragon Ball story. So that's what I would have done. I would have simply officially canonized the Bardock, father of Goku special, and never done the Dragon Ball Minus thing because it was not necessary, and it kind of ruined the timeline and stuff. There's a lot of inconsistencies in it, and the writing wasn't that great to begin with, so it's no point. So yeah, that's what I would have done. I would have done that. Also, for the Dragon Ball Minus idea, I do like the idea of having, year zero type of story where you do a complete a prequel and a backstory explaining the world before it got established. I like that, but I do not like the fact that he did it on Bardock and stuff, because we already had that and he just ruined it. What I would have personally done a backstory on would have been actually, I would have made multiple backstory type of stuff on specific characters that people want to know about. First one I would have done would be on Frieza, because Frieza is one of those characters that is very interesting and a lot of people like, but still we don't know that much about him, and there's a lot of stuff that has never been shown about him, and sadly I feel like it's never going to be shown about him, and that disappoints me because it's like we as fans want to know a lot of things, and Toriyama can't even tell us the littlest things. So for me, what I would have done, Dragon Ball Minus would have been a backstory of not only Frieza, but Frieza's dad and his people. So it would have started off with, Frieza's planet, showing Frieza's planet. So 1, we will be able to see Frieza's planet. 2, we will be able to see the name of Frieza's planet. 3, we will be able to see how the people and how society looks and how it works. 4, we'll know the name of the race, because we don't even know the name of the race that Frieza is from. We haven't even seen other people outside of it besides, his family members, which is like, once again, I said, if you have a character this long and established, the fact that you don't show all this stuff still to this point is kind of disappointing. It's like you're showing us the backstory of Bardock again when we already seen it. We don't need that. If anybody needs a backstory, it's Frieza. Why the hell would you waste your time on something we already seen and screw that up when you could do a completely different thing? So I would have shown the planet, shown the society, because from one of his stuff he said that their society was actually peaceful, and it's like King Cold was a mutation and he was basically more evil. So I would have gone with that aspect. I would have gone with the I would have shown the society and shown that Frieza's people are very powerful. They're like decently very powerful, and advanced, but they're very peaceful. They're a peaceful race that doesn't like to fight. They're like the Namekians. They don't want to attack, but they're advanced and they're very powerful and stuff. And I would have had the backstory where it shows how peaceful their society is and they just live vicariously, and then have it where it's like some time passes and we have the birth of King Cold, and have a quick little synopsis of King Cold's life. Like he was also, I would have just explained that they're asexually reproduced like Namekians. So it would have been like this: King Cold's father created Cold, and Cold was a mutation. Something happened when he was created. He was a mutation of his race, and this mutation not only gave him extremely enhanced powers and ability, far beyond any of his other people. Like he would be the strongest, member of his entire race, But not only that, but also he would have this mutation now would have only made him stronger, but it would have made him more like demented. Like his brain would have been more warped. You know how in society people are born like psychopaths and sociopaths. I mean, psychopaths and then they become sociopaths through trauma. But psychopaths, they have different brain patterns than us. So I think that would have been interesting where he was born and the mutation not only made him insanely powerful, but it also messed up his mind and made him kind of a psychopath where he doesn't care about anybody. And he goes throughout this, the society of his and saying, you know what, this society is too weak, it's too soft. I don't know why we're a very powerful race, we're a very advanced race, but we just stay on our planet. We should be conquering other planets. We can do so much more, and have it to where he not only is he a psychopath because of that, but he has these grandiose plan of ruling the universe because he's like, we can do it. Why don't we do it? Why are we just allowing these other people? We're stronger than them, and have like the whole mentality of you're stronger and superior. You should rule over others and look down upon them. Frieza did talk about this with Goku. He's like, why don't you rule down other people? And Goku's like, that's not what I do and stuff. Just because you're powerful doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. And that would have been a perfect also connection to that. It was showed the mentality of Frieza's dad and Frieza and how they perceive, society as a whole and the world as a whole as just something they can take. So he's like, he's somebody that wants to conquer other planets and take over, but the people of his race are just like, we're a peaceful race, why would we do that? That's not something we do. And then King Cole's like, okay, these people are too soft, I will be conquering. And then he takes over and basically, starts wreaking havoc, starts destroying, the society and stuff, and just show it doesn't have to be very long, just be really quick, like skim through his like life and what happened. And then basically have it where he ends up like, his father tries to stop him, King Cole kills his father, and then he sets on his plans in motion to conquer his entire race. And they start pushing back, and because of it, he destroys his planet. Because also that was stated that King Cold was evil, and his planet wasn't, so he destroyed them. So he would have, wiped out his planet. First, he would have made a ship, wiped out his planet, and then took the ship to attack other planets. First, he would have started off attacking stronger inhabitants of planets with advanced tech, took the advanced tech from his planet, took them, conquered them, wiped out most of them, subjugated them, and then created his empire. And then we can do a time skip where, his empire has been created. He's conquered countless planets, conquered, took enslaved countless people into his army, and then had him do connections and relations with these buyers, because they keep on saying that there's people that buy off planets, but they never show who the buyers are, and I'm pretty sure they're all alive. So I think that would be an interesting also story later on in Dragon Ball to show these guys that would buy planets for hire and stuff, and like seeing the Goku and Vegeta trying to deal with them, saying, hey, you guys can't do this to people's planets anymore. But yeah, see him make deals with these people, become more prevalent and stronger, and then have him arrive to planet of Vegeta, finding out planet Vegeta is there. And we can also have like a little, I guess, quick backstory of planet Vegeta, where it's like, the Saiyans left their own regular planet, which was planet Sadal, went to planet Plant, conquered the race there, the Safurigens, took them out, wiped them out, took theirs, and inhabited. And then just have it where King Cold finds about these people, finds about their power, their potential, finds out about the legend of the Super Saiyan. So he's like, okay, I'm a little curious about the legend of this Super Saiyan and the severity of it and what it means. And then I would have also just had it where he's like, he sees great potential in these guys and also great threats. So if he puts them under his boot and controls them, it would be very beneficial to him. Also, due to the fact that they wiped out their own planet, that would be good. So he comes down there, he's like, he's cunning and he lies to them. He's like, oh, you guys are, I want to make business relations with you guys. I'll hire you guys. You guys will be compensated very well. And on the surface, that's what he was like presuming. And he makes this deal with, King Vegeta, and he's like, has relations with this, big powerful leader of this world, and he does this and he gives them technology. But then soon later on, they find out more that he is not. They're not actually part of business partners, but actually taken over by him. And he's like, "Yeah, I lied about the whole business partnership. You're literally under my rule. I've been playing you. You have to follow my rule. So he's like, you're basically now my servants and stuff. And he still pays them, but he's like, you guys are under my servitude and you can't disobey me. So then they, once again, another time skip. He does all this. They do all this merciless stuff, wiping out planets and stuff. He's raising up his empire. Then we can see the birth of Frieza. I don't know if Frieza is older than King Cold or came before him. I think he's younger than King Cold. So we could have had the birth of Frieza, and then showing Frieza's progression, and now like it's King Cold's story starting to end off, and it's the start of Frieza's story now. I know this is supposed to be a short mini chapter. I feel like you could have made it longer. It could have been like in Naruto Gaidens, they're like little like novels, like little graphic novels, and they're longer. So I would have done this, and basically after that I would have had like where we're showing Frieza coming into power, and Frieza's mentality is just like his father, but even more sadistic than his dad. And then like Frieza developing, having to control his power, lowering it back, going through these other transformations. He goes through these other stuff. Then he's hands off the control to Frieza. He just sits back lavishly while his son starts conquering. And then they're like a father-son kind of like business. We see the agency that he has, the name of it, like they have the Frieza Force and they call them that, but we want to know what the hell they're really called, the Stellar Agency and stuff. So we can have that, and then we have the plan with Frieza, and then doing that, and then we can skip over. We can have like all the Frieza stuff and his backstory and stuff and more, and then just connect to where the beginning of the father of Goku, like the Bardock special starts. Get to that point, and that will be the end of that. That will be the end of it. I feel like this little mini story of King Cold, Frieza's people's backstory, King Cold's backstory, and Frieza's backstory is far more interesting than what we were given, because we were given the same crap just in a shittier format, which I did not like. This would have been far more interesting. I think if you expand upon this would have been interesting. You could also do it on Majin Buu, had it on Kid Buu and how he first came to be throughout the universe, and then, how he was created, what he was doing, why he was doing this, and then had, I think it was Bibidi, I forgot, Babidi? No, Bibidi, his dad, interacts with him, and then he does a spell to he conjures up the spell to seal him so he can use him, and then to see his relations, and then how he changed with Fat Buu and what Fat Buu did. So there's a lot of backstory that he could have done with these characters, and sadly we don't get it. We got the Bardock special again. Like, you could have gave us this. So that's what I would have done with that aspect. Those are a couple of the things that I would have changed personally when it comes to Dragon Ball. And this is only the first episode. There are going to be a couple of other stuff, because there's a lot of stuff in Dragon Ball that I still haven't covered that I didn't like. I still haven't even gotten to the Dragon Ball Super. I'm going to get into that, but I'm going to get into that in another video. So this is part 1 of what I would do with Dragon Ball. So stay tuned for the next episode. I think I'll drop it out tomorrow too. So I'll drop out the next part 2 of this video tomorrow. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video.